Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing something a little bit different and I am going to incorporate, what have I got here? I've got 6 months worth of old citrus twist kits. I'm going to incorporate them into probably one, maybe two of my sort of mega kits. When I finish with a kit each month, it's usually because I've received a new one or I've got other things that I want to work with. So the rest of my kit, and as you can see, some of these have got a considerable amount of stuff left over in them. I just pop them away in a drawer. I mean, sometimes I dig back into them, but most of the time I don't, because really it's very hard to tell what's in here and whether I'm going to be able to use it for that particular week that I want to use it with. And so this way I'm going to end up with a mega kit. I'm going to take out anything that doesn't strike my fancy, isn't really my taste, and I'm just going to end up with a bunch of supplies that I know I'm going to love. It's going to be really easy just to pick up that kit and use it for whatever occasion I might need it for. So like I said, I've got 6 kits here. The first thing I'm going to do is just pull everything out of the kits. I am going to divide it up by sort of type, so papers, cards, stamps, embellishments, alphas, that sort of thing. Just create a pile of everything that's in here into those categories.
Now, it's just worth noting that at this point, I am making 0 decisions. I am not sorting anything. I'm not being critical of anything. I am literally just putting them into piles of categories. So there's going to be lots of decision making that needs to go on, but at the moment, all I'm doing is organizing this stuff to make it easier for that to happen later on. I think a lot of the decision making in this sort of process is how I eliminate the decision making later on. So although this all took me about an hour, it took me about an hour to do all of this, which I don't think is like a huge amount of time. I don't allocate a huge amount of time to doing this sort of thing. Quick decisions is the key here. What that means is that's an hour's worth of decisions that I'm not going to have to make later on. So that's the whole point of these mega kits, is to make life easier for myself when I decide that I want to craft with this kit later on.
Okay, so I've got everything sorted out into piles of kind of categories. I've got stickers, and that includes chipboard, tiny words. I've even got enamel dots in here because there's one packet of enamel dots. There's puffy stickers. All the other die cuts are in a separate pile because I've got a separate process for that. Alphas, 3x4 cards, 4x6 cards, 3x8 cards, cut apart tags. I've got scraps of paper, so papers that I have already cut into, 6x8 papers, and my stamps. So the next part of this process is potentially the most painful, is I'm going to go through each of these piles individually and just really evaluate each piece as is whether it's something I'm ever going to use. So there's no point having stuff in my kits that I don't love. I don't love the colors, I don't love the pattern, I don't love the saying, whatever it is. If it's something I don't think I'm going to use, there's no point keeping it in there. It will never get used and it just takes up space. So I'm going to let that go. I'm going to go through each of these piles individually and create 2 piles. Sometimes there's 3, a yes, a no, and sometimes a maybe. Like, do I think I can alter it or change it in some way to be able to use it a little bit more? So I'm going to start doing that now. Like I said, this is the most time-consuming part. And it definitely can be the most painful, realizing that you are going to have to just let go of some of this stuff.
Obviously, this part of the process is totally personal and individual to you. So I can't really give you any kind of rhyme or reason to why I'm choosing to keep the things that I'm choosing to keep and get rid of the things that I'm choosing to get rid of. It's just a gut decision. And again, this part I try not to agonize over. So I really do just go with my first sort of instinct, like, do I love it? Do I not? And you can see here on my right hand side is the yes pile, on the left hand side is the no. I had a couple that I popped into the maybe pile for a second, but I don't spend too long sort of going over that. So it's either a yes or a no. Lots of those decisions I'm basing off things that I know I document a lot, so the types of topics that I document a lot and the types of things that I don't document a lot. So that can definitely help base my decisions. We don't do a lot of traveling, so those sorts of things are more likely to go into the no pile. Everyday life is something that I document a lot, so those kind of things I find useful. And the other thing is, I know in myself what colors I tend to pull towards. So, especially for the cards and the papers here, I know what colors and I know what patterns I'm generally going to want to use. I know ones that I'm probably not going to want to use, and that's how I make that decision. So you can see here, I mean, I have sped this up a lot, but this is not, it's not a lengthy process. So like I say, I think the quicker you can do this, the more instinctual you'll be about deciding what to keep and what to let go of. And the hardest part of this process is realizing that you will need to let go of it. If you're not willing to let go of the supplies that you've bought, then this is not a process that's going to serve you any purpose. So there's no point in doing this kind of thing unless you are looking to be able to save space, so save physical space for where you store your supplies, but also save mental space, because you don't need to be able to think about all of this stuff every time you go to sit down to make something. So this really is a space-saving exercise, and that does mean being able to let go of things. So if that's not something you're comfortable doing, and that's a totally valid thing as well, then this is not the process for you. I'm in the very, very privileged position to receive these kits as part of my design team work, and so that makes it an entirely different process for me. I'm well aware of that because I have not invested all of this money in these supplies. That being said, this is the same process I go through anytime that I do want to have a little bit of a cleanup in my craft room, and I have let go of a lot of stuff that I have financially invested in myself as well. So I understand that that can be a huge pull. But my point with this is that unfortunately sometimes I make decisions with things that I'm buying that don't pay off in the end. My tastes change. I've hoarded them away for so long that I've decided not to keep them anymore. It's really a process of letting them go. And like I say, none of this stuff is going in the trash. So what might not suit my tastes is going to suit somebody else's tastes. And in the end, the stuff that I let go of in this purge ended up going as a giveaway for my patrons. So someone else is going to have a whole bunch of fun playing with these goodies, even though I've decided not to. So you've seen my process here as I've been babbling on. I'm literally just going through each pile, one type of thing at a time, creating these yes and no piles. The only thing that I do slightly differently, I guess, is with these die cut packs, as I am going through every single die cut. I'm not making a decision based on the whole. I am going through all of the little pieces, deciding what I will and won't use, and that's all going to end up in one big pile together. That way, well, when I say one big pile, I will end up splitting these depending on the kits that I put together in the end, but I don't want to say no to an entire pack of die cuts, even if there might only be one or two in there that I want to use. I want to pull out those one or two so that I can still use them and then let go of the rest.
So I've whittled down everything to just the stuff I really love and think that I would actually use. The next step is a little bit personal to what I like to do with these kits, which is prep everything. So I've got these cut apart labels. I'm going to cut them into actual label shapes and add them to my die cut bag. I've got a few 3x8 cards. I don't really use 3x8 cards, so I'm going to cut down the pieces that I think I can use into 3x4s. And the same goes with this scraps pile. I am going to cut down whatever I can into 4x6s or 3x4s. It makes it easier for me to use. These ones that are smaller pieces, if they are patterns that I really think I would be able to use, like this one for instance, I'm going to keep these. This isn't something that I've done in the past with my like mega kits. I kept scraps of paper, but in this particular instance I think I'm going to go with keeping some of these smaller bits. Maybe not some of the super small bits, but these ones I can easily adapt onto a 4x6 card or anything like that, so I am going to keep them. So that's my next step. So once you're at this stage, that's when you can decide how much stuff do you actually have left, how many kits do you want to break that down into, and there are plenty of ways to do that. I think personally with this amount I have enough to make 2 kits. Last time when I made my mega kits, I made 2. They were considerably larger than this, so I started with a lot more stuff than this. So one of the things that I've struggled with when using those kits is that there's too much stuff in them. For me personally, to get things done as quickly as possible, I need less choices. So the less stuff that are in these kits, the easier it is for me to use it. So I'm going to break all of this stuff down into 2 kits, I think. You can do that totally randomly by just splitting your piles in half, or you can go through it and be a little bit more kind of precise about it, a little bit more conscious about what you're putting into each kit, and I think that's what I'm going to do today. So the first thing I'm going to start with is my alphas. Handily enough, we had 6 kits. I've got 6 alpha sets here. Granted, this isn't technically an alpha. I'm just literally going to split them in half. So this one doesn't have, it's only got 1 E, but this one has a lot of E's in it. So I think using these 2 together, they're the similar kind of fonts. So if I ever had to mix and match them, I could. This obviously doesn't have E's in it, so that's going to be easy to use with any kind of kit I put together. This one here, there are no E's. So this is going to be an alpha that's a little bit harder to use. There's not a lot of letters left. It doesn't mean I can't. So I'm going to keep that in the kit. These alphas, it's probably hard to see. There's still 5 E's in here, these little foam ones. So I'm definitely going to use those. And my little tiny word stickers still have tons of E's as well. E's is literally just how I judge these alphas, whether they're usable or not, because if there's not a lot of letters and there's no E's left, it's going to be pretty hard to put words together for the kind of documenting that I do. So I'm going to base my 2 kits off that. So that's where I'm starting with. I'm going to make 2 piles, and then I'm just going to start going through them. So the next thing I'm going to split is, I think, my embellishments. And I'm just going to attempt to try to keep some sort of colorway with these two piles here. So I've got golds and yellows and greens, and I've also got golds and blues and pinks. So that's where I'm going to try and split things up. It's easier to start with things like I've got tiny letter stickers. I kind of like the purple with the teal, so I'm going to pop that there. And I've got 3 sets of chipboard. I think like blue and pink and yellow. There's a little bit of teal in here. They could probably go either place, but I'm going to pop them there. These ones are a little bit more neutral, so I'm going to add that to the kind of gold and green because I've got gold and white letters, so that's maybe a little bit more neutral. I'm going to add that there. I need to add some more embellishments into here, and because I've picked the brighter colors, I've got a single set of enamel dots, so I'm going to pop them in that kit there. And then I've got 2 sets of puffy stickers, so these are a little bit more neutral, these are a little bit brighter. I'm not sure how many I would actually use from that. I'm just going off the little hearts, to be honest. So they're going in this pile, that's going in that pile. That's my embellishments sorted. And now I'm just going to go through the cards and papers and try to split these into the most kind of appropriate piles for these 2 colorways.
And again, for this process, what I want to avoid doing is agonizing too much. So I really am doing it as quickly as possible, not spending too long over each different little decision. The kit on the left here, I'm going for sort of the brighter, cooler toned colors, and the one at the top is more kind of neutral / warmer kind of colors. So it really is, as well as that, I'm trying to kind of evenly separate them, just so that I've got a reasonable amount in both kits to work with. And then by preference, I like to rainbow order everything so that I can see what I'm working with as I'm working with it. So I'd split up those little scraps. There wasn't a huge sort of amount of those to work with. And I'm doing the same thing with the stamps. I'm just splitting them up based on what I have seen color-wise and card-wise, so sort of theme-wise. I'm just splitting those stamps. But you've seen me before when I'm working with these kits, these sort of mega kits. I have no issue using stuff from each one. So the stamps, you could always make the stamps a separate kind of thing and maybe store them somewhere else. I do love having stamps in these kits so that I don't have to make any additional decisions when I'm working with them. I just pull out the kit and I use the stamps that are in there. But if you've got additional stamp storage, then that would be a great place to put those. You can pull out your kit, then go and pick out your stamps based on the stories that you're documenting. That's and also a valid option as far as that goes. Now you can see here the other thing that I am doing is splitting up these die cut packs. It doesn't take that long to go through them. Again, I'm not agonizing over it. I'm just kind of splitting them based on colors really this time, so that the little die cuts all match the colors and the cards and the papers that I've put into each kit.
And so that's it. That's how easy it is to create these mega kits. So I've got 2 mega kits now. I know I love everything in it. I know that this one is like brighter and cooler toned colors. These are warmer, more neutral colors. So I can pick which kit I want to use dependent on the types of photos that I'm using that week or the kind of mood that I want to create. I don't set too many rules for myself with these things, so if I need to add extra stuff to it or borrow from different kits, I totally go with that. But this is just a really easy jumping off point. I know that there's nothing in there that I'm going to have to filter through to work out whether I want to use it or not. As for all of that stuff that I did take out of here, there's a fairly substantial amount. This is kind of a kit in itself. I end up popping this into a sort of giveaway pile, or some friends might want to use it. I keep it for crafts that, you know, maybe other people might want to do. It's never going to go to waste. I don't put anything in the bin, and it's just one of those things with a kit subscription. You don't always love everything, and it's just one of those things to kind of either work out how you can alter this stuff or just let it go and focus on the stuff that you are going to use, which is what I'm going to do now. As far as storing these, I definitely am not going to try and cram all of these back into a single folder. I probably split it out, papers and cards, embellishments and stamps, so I'm still going to end up using all 6 of those envelopes. I will just These ones are, the new packaging's a little bit harder. The other packaging I had 2 of those zip bags for each kit. One was yellow and one was blue zips. This one I'm probably going to have to label with some washi tape maybe. I will just make sure that 3 of them have the same washi tape color on the top. 3 of them have another, and that way I know what is what kit. If you've got any questions about this process, do leave me a comment down below and I will do my best to answer it. I know it's probably been a super long video, so thank you for sticking with me, and I will see you again really soon. Bye guys.